Hello, welcome once again to Hope Alive presents Walk With Me. Here we are again this week, and we are so excited to have this discussion because we have talked about this topic many times over the weeks, and today is a time for us to discuss and share with you what we have been talking about. So today we are going to talk about communication, healthy communication, good communication. How do we communicate with our parents or children, husband or wife, and how to have that uh, positive way of communicating so that it can bring positive response. So with me today is my friend again. Welcome back, Georgia.
Thank you. Thank you for having
Georginia,
me.
Georgia.
Thank you.
It's good to have you again.
Thank you.
So let's look at this. What is it? What is communication and what is the healthy one?
I would say communication is basically how we interact with one another. It can be through words or even through our body language.
Hmm.
Because sometimes we can communicate to somebody or we can say something to someone without saying a word.
Right.
Our body language, our facial expression kind of says it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So communication is not just in words. It's in body language. It's in the tone of voice. It's in how we look. It's in a lot of things. The unsaid, unspoken, and
Yeah.
the spoken, verbal and non-verbal.
Yeah.
Right. So we all know that, and so we're going to delve into it. How do we have that going? The good way to communicate. What is it even?
Healthy communication is that type of communication that, through which someone expresses exactly how they feel, what I call emotional honesty.
Hmm.
Because sometimes somebody can be saying something else and is feeling something else.
Hmm.
Like people who communicate in a passive way. Sometimes they can say yes when they mean no
Mhm.
because they don't want to hurt other people and they want to please everybody around them.
Right.
That's what I call the passive communication style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we know, I mean, many people, if not everyone, knows those different communication styles. The passive aggressive, the assertive. I mean, those are the three main ones. And so you've talked about passive now.
Yeah.
What about passive aggressive?
Oh my God, that's the very unhealthy one. The eye rolling, the sarcasm, you know, the body language. You're talking to somebody and the person looks at you from head to toe without saying a word.
Mm.
That's passive aggressive. Or you ask somebody something and the person replies with another question.
Mm.
That's passive aggressive.
Mm. Mm.
You know. Yeah.
Or you ask somebody a question and they just slap you, or like I'm looking at what happens within the family. For instance, a child may ask a question that sounds silly or stupid or whatever to the parent, and the parent, rather than answering, will just maybe walk away or give give the child a slap, or shut the child down, basically.
Actually, that's very passive aggressive.
Yeah.
And sometimes parents can just yell at a child just for asking question they think is silly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or they say, "Oh, why are you asking me that question? That's a silly question. That's a stupid question."
Yeah.
And the child just loses their voice gradually. They can't say what they need to say or
Yeah.
what they want to say. Especially not only to them. Then now it becomes like to everybody they meet, and
Exactly.
it becomes difficult.
And that means healthy communication starts from the family.
Again, everything.
Because we are products of our environment, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. And of course, we have been talking about Walk With Me, this book, devotional, 30-day devotional book that my daughter and I wrote. And we're still going to talk more about it, but we usually just take something some excerpt from the book. But today we're going to look at a book that Georgina had written about parenting. It's titled 100 Nuggets for 110 Nuggets. Where did the 10 go? 110 Nuggets for Excellent Parenting. And these are just nuggets from her own experience and from her own. Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about it.
Now that we're talking about communication, I have a whole chapter devoted to communication. I remember this day, my husband was abroad and I finished having a phone conversation with him that didn't go well. And all of a sudden, my son walked in from school. And in my home, my son, one of the chores he does is taking away the trash. And immediately he walks in and I said, didn't you see that this trash was full? You saw it this morning, he left it and went to school. Blah, blah. I just went on a rampage. And you know what this boy did? He just left me there, never said a word, and walked upstairs to his room and slammed his door. And I became much more angry and furious. And I just went to my room and I sat down, took a deep breath, and I slept over it, that night. And I said, Georgina, what were you doing? I was just talking to myself. I teach people how to communicate assertively, and here I am being aggressive to my own son. How can that be? And I just rehearsed everything I wanted to say to him. I went into his room and I said, I felt disrespected the way you treated me last night. I was talking to you and you walked away. You know what he said? He said, Mom, that wasn't you. I didn't hear a word you said.
Oh my.
I said, I'm sorry.
That is amazing.
I'm sorry. I then apologized and I took accountability for my behavior, right? Because I was aggressive. Because most times when we're aggressive, people don't hear us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I like that, what he said, that was not you.
Say, Mom, that wasn't you.
Wow.
I didn't hear a word you said.
Wow, that's amazing. And some children are used to that. That's my mom. That's what she's. That's what my mom would do all the time. She just yells and talks and talks
Exactly.
over you and up and slide down and all that, and then you're just like, okay, what do you really want, Mom?
Yeah.
Or Dad, what do you really want?
Yeah. And that comes to the fact that as parents, we need to also find ways of dealing with our own emotions instead of dumping it on our children. Because what happened there was I didn't deal with my own emotion from the conversation I just had with my husband. My son just walked in and I put it on him.
Wow.
So he became an emotional punching bag for
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
which wasn't very healthy.
And I know some of the parents will be saying, yeah, that's difficult. It's difficult to not put things on somebody else, especially people who are so close to you, like your children, when you've just had a bad day, with your husband or with your wife, and the child comes and you just can't deal with it at that point. And so how would you answer that question? I know some of you are answering asking that question right now. So how do you I mean, you have shown us here. You go to your room and you evaluate what just happened.
Yeah.
And you give it a name that, oh, this is what I just did. It is unhealthy to have this aggressive behavior towards my child. And so you came back and talked about it in the morning, and you took responsibility for your action, and everything was repaired.
Yeah.
So you're watching. Can you do that? Can you go through that process and say, okay, whenever I find myself being passive or being aggressive or being passive aggressive, I will go back and evaluate and repair. Hopefully, you can do that. Anybody can.
I'm glad you're saying that, because most times when we are aggressive, we lose relationships. We also lose time in our relationships.
Right.
And when we are passive, people around us who are in relationship with us, they don't know what we're thinking. Because nobody is a mind reader. It's something like saying, oh, can't you even see that I need help? Right. Can't you help me carry the baby? Can't you help me clean the dishes? Can't you help me do this? But we haven't asked, right? Nobody is a mind reader. So when we communicate assertively, saying, I need you to hold the baby for me so I can make dinner. I need you to help me tidy the room. I need you to help me do this. We are communicating assertively and we are stating our need.
Right. And also, we communicate what we need, and we need to communicate also our feelings.
Yeah.
How does that happen with the I statement?
Even saying something like, I feel unsupported when you come back and you go to bed without asking me how I feel. It makes me feel I don't count in this family. You know, going forward, I need you to check in with me anytime you come in, because that will help me.
Wow. Okay.
You know, because when we say you should, the other person becomes defensive.
Yeah.
And that leads to argument. And at the end of the day, nobody wins, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that
It's
happen.
not a win-win situation. Yeah.
Seen that happen quite a bit, even not only with spouses, but even with siblings and with parent-child relationship, where okay, so you say something and I'm like, okay, so I don't get it. What are you saying? Why can't you just say something that you really want to say, so I will not waste too much time. The other thing about communication that I've seen also is we don't listen. We want to talk a lot because as parents we know a lot. We've experienced things. We're older and wiser, and the child comes, especially young adults. They come and even ask for your opinion on something, and you're so ready to give, and then you give like 10 or 50 examples from your life and other uncles and aunties' lives, and by that time the child is tired and can't even make out what you're saying. So what do you have for parents?
Honestly, I would recommend let's learn to listen, because listening is a skill that needs to be learned. Because when we listen, what message are you giving to the person speaking to you? The message you're giving to the person is, I'm here for you. I'm here to support you. I've got your back. I had an adolescent say to me, you know, Auntie Georgina, I stopped talking to my parents when I make mistakes. And I said, why? You know, this particular adolescent said, you know what, because they just sit down and lecture me and tell me how their own childhood was very perfect. So I stopped telling them. They never told me they made any mistakes.
No.
They keep telling me how excellent they were in everything. So there's need for us to learn to listen to friends, family, anybody who wants to talk to us. For somebody to come and talk to you, that means that the person is saying you're important in my life. So all they want most times is to listen. And we told that urge to give advice.
Yeah. It's so. That's where we go. That's the default, right? In parents. Okay, let me read a little bit of this.
Okay.
And I'm so excited about this book actually, because it's nuggets of things, you know, and it's so easy to read, and you can glean so much from it because of that. Okay, so this nugget here says, as a parent, giving constructive feedbacks will help your child to develop positive attitudes for behavior change. Don't be critical. Criticisms swallow up your child's sense of self and identity. The child begins to see self as a failure and cannot please you, the parent. Your child may become demoralized, angry, resentful, and will start defying your authority or become emotionally detached from you and keep secrets. So I would say, even from there, not only the authority of the parent, but any kind of authority, when criticisms are just your default as a parent. So tell us more about this. Giving constructive feedback and don't be critical.
You know, there's need to understand the difference between feedback and criticism. Criticism is negative. Feedback starts by identifying what are the successes this particular child or this person has achieved through the decision they've made. And then what other areas do they need to explore, you know, basically identifying what they've succeeded in, and then other areas they need to look into. And then in giving this feedback as well, use open-ended questions to explore so that this child or this person can begin to, you know, identify with critical thinking within themselves.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
knowing the pros and cons of their decision.
Yeah. Some of the parents may be asking, so what about constructive criticisms? You know, I mean, we say constructive feedback. Are they the same as constructive criticisms?
There's no criticism that is constructive. That's why it's criticism. It's negative. Because, you know, for every human being, once you're out on criticizing, the person shuts down and the person will never tell you anything. They develop emotional mind block towards you. Okay, if I tell her now, she's just going to tell me all my faults. And not just in parenting as well, even in spousal relationship, you know, husband and wife, or in relationship, two adult relationships. Let's say you have a wife and you tell her, okay, I've made a mistake today at work, and then you come back and say something similar tomorrow, and your wife, all she's seeing is all the negative things you've done, saying this is the same thing you did last year, the same thing you did at the beginning of this year, you're here again. The man is not going to say any other thing when he makes mistakes. He might find somebody outside to kind of confide in, who will kind of just sit down and listen, like we said. And it's both ways, right? Because there are also in some families, you find the man, you know, telling the woman how laid back she is, how she's not a professional, you know, comparing them to other women, you know, how they're not making enough money and all that.
So we need constructive feedbacks, not criticisms. I noticed that the word constructive criticisms are I mean, the words are used in literature when we are employed to criticize a book or some piece of article, and you criticize that book constructively, saying, okay, this book could be done this way, or it could have been written this way. If it had been written this way, it would have reached this target of audience, or, you know, things like that. So we kind of, I think, this is my opinion, we kind of have coined these words to talk about communication in relationship, which is not so in a lot of ways. So criticism is criticism. So all we need is constructive feedback.
Yeah, criticism is negative, actually. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to round up, but I just want to touch on when the situations where children or even adults seek approval all the time. You know, they're like, you know, you meet them and have I done it? Did I do it right? You know, they're always looking for approval. So we see this as a root. There's a root cause of that kind of behavior. It's rooted in this kind of thing, in criticisms and in, you know, things that you know children grow up with. We don't need to be seeking approval all the time and checking in with people that, oh, did I do it right? Did I, you know, and it's also about that self-esteem that we talked about.
It also goes back to how a child was raised. It also goes back to how an adult was raised, you know, in his or her childhood, right? Yeah.
So it's good for parents to give good feedbacks, be proud of your children, tell them how great they've been, not just patronizing them, but at least when they do something good, tell them they've done something good. Some children have said, yeah, my dad only talks when I do something wrong, but he's quiet when I do something great. And everybody likes to hear good things, because when you hear good things, it actually speaks to your soul and it enlivens you.
And you know, many children might begin to get involved in negative behavior because that will attract their parents' attention. Because negative attention is better than no attention at all. So basically, there is need for us to step up as parents, right? And recognize that every child is a good child,
That's right.
and recognize those little successes in the child. Yeah.
Yeah, our children are gifts. So avail yourself in the book 110 nuggets for excellent parenting. Just give us a call or send us an email and we will tell you all about it, how to get it and how much it is.
Yeah.
So
It's also on Amazon as well.
it's on Amazon. So go on Amazon and look for it. It's great. Okay, now we have to end here. We could go on, but we will stop here. And you can continue the conversation at home. Talk to your children, talk to your spouses, and begin to develop healthy communication styles with assertiveness. Have a good day. We'll see you again. God bless.
Thank you.